The truth has finally erupted from within the federal system itself. Internal investigations have brought explosive revelations to light. Federal agents have uncovered that some of their own SEO workers were secretly acting as hired guns, operating in the shadows to manipulate outcomes. This massive corruption scandal is breaking wide open, exposing the very people sworn to uphold justice as those who are actually working to undermine it from within. But here's what really matters. This exposure is about to usher in a wave of good news. The system is actively cleaning house, and when the dust settles, you can expect major positive changes. Justice doesn't always arrive in a straight line. Sometimes it takes dismantling rotten foundations before real change can happen. So stay alert, because the breaking news is only just beginning. For months, maybe even years, you've waited, standing at the edge of the battlefield while corrupt forces moved against you from the shadows. They thought you were oblivious to their schemes, laughing behind closed doors and believing their positions made them untouchable. But the universe moves by its own clock, and now the moment has arrived. The delay you experienced was never a denial. It was the storm quietly gathering strength. While you waited, cosmic forces were aligning, evidence was building, and witnesses were finding their courage. Now the dam is finally broken. What was once hidden in darkness is being flooded with a light so bright it blinds those who tried to keep their secrets safe. You can feel it in the air, a subtle but powerful shift, an electric energy that signals something enormous has begun. Those who conspired against you are scrambling, their phones ringing at odd hours, their supposedly secure messages now exposed to eyes they never expected. Their carefully constructed plans are unraveling thread by thread. The weight of their deception, once towering and intimidating, is collapsing like a house of cards in a hurricane. Documents are being unsealed, testimonies are coming forward, and everything they tried to bury is being dug up with forensic precision. The decision that was meant to finish you is now turning into the very evidence that will vindicate you. The justice that once seemed delayed was actually gathering strength, like a wave pulling back from the shore only to come crashing in with unstoppable force. This overturned decision isn't just a bureaucratic stamp on paper. It's the first domino in a chain reaction that will bring down every barrier they built to contain you. Every signature they forged, every document they altered, every truth they tried to twist, now it all stands as proof of their corruption. Stand firm in this moment. Everything is finally turning in your favor. As these revelations thunder through the halls of power, the ground beneath your feet may tremble, but you remain unshaken. What was intended to break you has only exposed the one thing they dreaded most, that your truth is simply too powerful to be buried forever. Salvation often arrives in the most unexpected ways, and right now, as you hear these words, someone from within the very system that once worked against you has become your hidden ally. This isn't just any low-level worker or a dissatisfied employee. This is someone with real authority, someone who has access and insight into the darkest corners of the operation that targeted you. They have seen the files, attended the confidential meetings, and heard your name whispered with fear and contempt by those who dreaded what you stood for. Yet within this person, a spark of justice, something their position couldn't smother, has ignited. They're moving cautiously, fully aware of the risks. A single misstep, an out-of-place file, or a questionable search in the database could expose their intentions to those still protecting the corruption. But this individual is strategic and methodical, knowing exactly which pieces of evidence matter, which facts can turn the tide, and which testimonies are needed to break through the silence. They never planned to take on this dangerous role, never imagined risking everything they'd built. Yet when confronted by the sheer magnitude of the injustice done to you, when they saw firsthand what their colleagues had perpetrated, they could no longer remain quiet. Their conscience became a relentless force, pushing them to act. In the quiet hours of the night when offices are empty, they access files meant to remain invisible. They photograph documents that were supposed to never exist and retrieve data that should have been erased, steadily unraveling the conspiracy meant to silence you. Can you see the magnitude of this moment? The very system that was weaponized against you is now starting to turn on itself. The machinery designed to crush dissent is now turning on itself, exposing the very corruption at its core. What those in power never expected is that the truth possesses its own gravity, an undeniable pull that draws even the most hesitant witnesses into its orbit. This unexpected ally, your hidden messenger within the system, understands the gravity of their risk. They know what happens to whistleblowers and have seen firsthand how swiftly the system retaliates against those who dare to challenge it. Yet something about your case, the sheer audacity and blatant abuse of power, has compelled them to step forward, regardless of the personal cost. Let me pause for just a moment and ask, are you truly one of the chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones, but it's a completely different thing to put yourself to the test. When I faced the archons beyond this reality, they made one thing clear. True chosen ones are rare, and they scoffed at the idea that we would ever find each other. Quick pause, family. If this message resonates with your soul and you feel moved to support this sacred work, consider buying me a coffee. Your support helps keep this space alive with truth, light, and divine clarity. The link is in the description, and if you're still with me, drop the number 88 in the comments. Now let's continue. The internal investigations have unearthed evidence so toxic that even those conducting them are stunned by what they found. Officials, men and women who once took sacred oaths to uphold justice and defend the innocent, have been exposed as nothing more than mercenaries in expensive suits. Their badges, titles, and authority were all available for the right price. This wasn't just about petty corruption or small shortcuts for personal gain. It was systematic, coordinated, and part of a deliberate campaign to weaponize the machinery of justice against those who stood for divine truth. The evidence doesn't just trickle in, it pours. Electronic communications they believed were secure, financial transactions thought to be untraceable, secret meetings. All of it has been captured, cataloged, and handed over to those with the authority to act. They watched your every move, monitored your communications, infiltrated your circles, fabricated evidence, suppressed supporting testimony, intimidated witnesses, manipulated timelines, and altered documents. The scale of their corruption is so vast, it almost defies belief. How could people entrusted with such power betray it so completely? But here's what they failed to realize. The more intricate their conspiracy became, the more people it required to maintain. And the more people involved, the more likely it was that someone would develop a conscience. It took just one person unable to live with the reality of what they were seeing, to start unraveling the entire scheme. Behind closed doors, the conspirators have begun to turn on each other. Accusations are flying. Who talked, who leaked, who broke ranks? The paranoia within their once unified circle is now unmistakable. The trust that once held their conspiracy together has been shattered, and each person is desperately scrambling to save themselves, eager to downplay their own involvement and portray themselves as unwilling participants rather than the masterminds behind the corruption. For you, this means that vindication is finally drawing near. The narrative they so carefully constructed to diminish you, silence you, and paint you as the enemy is now collapsing beneath the weight of undeniable truth. Their secrets are no longer hidden. Their shadows no longer offer cover, and the relentless light of investigation is illuminating every corner they thought would remain forever dark. The most destructive force against any conspiracy is not outside pressure but internal fracture, and right now that fracture is spreading through their ranks like wildfire. Those who once stood shoulder to shoulder in deceit and pledged solidarity in their corruption now regard each other with suspicion so deep it borders on paranoia. The first cracks appeared when the investigation began. Subtle doubts, quiet worries about getting exposed. But now, those cracks have widened into massive chasms. Former allies ignore each other's calls. Encrypted messages go unanswered. Safe houses stand empty, and their once impenetrable network of protection is disintegrating before their eyes. In its place, self-preservation at any cost has taken hold. Deals are being struck behind the scenes. Information is being traded for leniency, with colleagues being offered up in exchange for personal salvation. Suddenly, everyone is scrambling to claim, "I was just following orders," or "I didn't know the full extent," while bargaining with names, dates, and locations. The very loyalty they once demanded from others is nowhere to be found when their own freedom is on the line. Some have already vanished, resigning from their posts, emptying accounts, disappearing from their homes. Yet there's nowhere to hide. The investigation has flagged their passports, is tracking their identities, and the very system they corrupted is now hunting them down. Others in a panic are trying to destroy evidence, not realizing that their desperate attempts only add to the case against them. Each deleted file, each shredded document, each mysteriously corrupted hard drive is yet another marker of their guilt, leaving a trail of panic that investigators follow with meticulous precision. Even the highest-ranking members, those who once believed themselves untouchable, now find themselves isolated and alone. Their calls for help go unanswered. Their pleas for intervention are met with cold silence. The protective umbrella that once shielded them has vanished, leaving them exposed to the storm they themselves unleashed. In the coming days, you'll witness them turning on one another, former confidants flipping to become state witnesses, those who wielded their authority so arrogantly now shrinking beneath the weight of investigation. Their downfall isn't simply from outside pressure, it's the inevitable result of the deep rot at their very core. Every strand of their web of lies is being unraveled. Each false story, every piece of fabricated evidence, every manipulated timeline is now being exposed under the harsh glare of truth. Their attempts to hide their crimes have not only failed, they've spectacularly backfired. The same techniques they once used to conceal their actions are now guiding investigators straight to them. Communications once thought unbreakable have been decrypted. Offshore accounts once believed untraceable have been found, and the aliases they used to mask their identities have now all been exposed. There is truly nowhere left for them to hide. No corner untouched by the fingerprints their corruption has left behind, waiting for diligent investigators to discover. Those who took bribes to block your progress, who accepted payments to turn a blind eye, who traded away their integrity for personal gain, now find their financial records telling the real story. Sudden bank deposits, unexplained wealth, properties bought through layers of shell companies, tuition for their children at elite schools paid in full. The money trail wins directly back to the very people who tried to buy justice. Some have desperately tried to leverage powerful connections, calling in old favors and issuing veiled threats, warning that they'll take everyone down with them if they're forced to face the consequences alone. But those old tactics have lost their force. No one wants to be associated with the disgrace that's come to light. Former protectors now scramble for plausible deniability, claiming, "I never authorized that," or insisting, "I was misled about what was really happening." But the digital breadcrumbs they left form an unbroken chain of evidence. Emails once thought deleted have been retrieved from server backups. Phone records reveal patterns of contact that perfectly match critical moments in the conspiracy, and surveillance footage places them in locations they had denied ever visiting. Ironically, the very technology they use to monitor others has now become the key instrument of their exposure. Recognize the scale of what's unfolding. Their web of deception, maintained for months or even years and bound together by threats and mutual self-interest, is unraveling faster than they can patch it up. Each new revelation brings even more hidden truths into the open, and every exposed lie uncovers countless others. Now the momentum of truth is unstoppable. Once set in motion, no power they possess can halt it. When corruption reaches a certain threshold, it triggers responses from the highest levels of authority. Those so elevated that even the most connected conspirators can't reach or influence them. That threshold has now been crossed. The evidence has landed on the desks of people whose devotion to justice is greater than any political alliance, personal connection, or institutional loyalty. These higher authorities have reviewed the files, weighed the evidence, listened to the testimonies, and have come to a conclusion that cannot be bargained, softened, or overturned. The corruption must be rooted out, no matter who falls in the process. Orders have been signed, authorizations granted, and resources allocated. A machinery of justice, far more powerful than the conspiracy that targeted you, has been set into unstoppable motion. Slow at first, but growing in speed and power like an avalanche as it descends. Those who once shielded the guilty now quietly step aside. The political calculations are finished, and it's clear that protecting the corrupt costs more than letting justice prevail. The risk of institutional damage from continued cover-ups now outweighs any pain brought by public exposure and accountability. The decision may be pragmatic, even cold, but its consequences are absolute. For you, this intervention from the highest levels represents a complete clearing of your path. The obstacles built to stop you, the false accusations, the forged evidence, the entire orchestrated attempt to destroy your reputation, they are all being swept aside, not by your own hand, but by a force so authoritative it cannot be challenged or resisted. Your vindication is not coming from a fringe outcry, but from the very core of the system itself. The highest echelons of authority have now meticulously examined every piece of evidence, every testimony, and every fact, finally reaching the conclusion that you were right all along. This validation, emerging directly from the very institutions your opponents so proudly invoked as they acted against you, stands as the most profound and irrefutable repudiation of their corruption imaginable. It is no small thing to be vindicated by the core of the very system that once seemed determined to silence you. For so long, your truth was dismissed, your voice minimized, your integrity questioned. Yet all the while the wheels of true justice were turning, quietly but relentlessly moving in your favor behind the scenes. Now it's time to ready yourself for the breakthrough you have longed for. The message you have waited for, the one that confirms your reality, acknowledges your suffering, and restores your dignity, is now being assembled with painstaking care. This is not idle speculation, nor is it empty hope. This is the living reality unfolding at this very moment as these words reach you. Every channel is being opened. Every step is being meticulously checked, and every required protocol is being observed to ensure nothing is left to chance. Appropriate authorities are being alerted. Documentation and evidence are being reviewed, cross-verified, and signed off at every level. All necessary clearances are being secured, and each detail is being double-checked so that, when this message is finally delivered, it stands as a monument to truth. Unassailable, immune to challenge, and impossible to dismiss by even the most entrenched defenders of the old corruption. Contained within this message is everything that was ever denied you. The facts they twisted, the truths they buried, the evidence they erased, and the testimonies they stifled. All the pieces that were hidden in the shadows are now being brought into the light, compiled, verified, and authenticated by individuals whose credentials and integrity are above reproach. These are not people who can be pressured, threatened, or bought. Their authority is unassailable, their commitment to justice absolute, and their decision cannot be swayed by any influence or intimidation. This message, when it arrives, is pure vindication. It's confirmation that every claim you made, every truth you spoke, and every injustice you named was real, factual, and deserving of redress. This is not a message that will arrive quietly or ambiguously. It will bear the official seals and signatures that mark its origin beyond question. It will contain details only accessible to those with the highest security clearance, information that instantly signals its legitimacy and authority. When you receive it, you will know without a shadow of a doubt that this is the long-awaited answer. The breakthrough you once thought might never come is now within reach. For you, this moment represents far more than mere validation. It is the point at which the long battle for your name and your truth finally turns. It is the instant when you are no longer required to defend yourself, no longer expected to justify your experience to those who never cared to listen. The facts, confirmed by sources that cannot be challenged or undermined, will now speak for themselves. What was once written off as paranoia or delusion will stand revealed as fact in the eyes of all. The path that was so thoroughly blocked by lies, manufactured accusations, and orchestrated campaigns to discredit you will at last clear before your feet. The obstacles so carefully constructed by your adversaries are being dismantled, not by your own hand, but by an authority so elevated that resistance is futile. You're not being redeemed by fringe voices or small protests. Your vindication is coming from the very heart of the system, from the same structure that was once used to try to destroy you. Through every trial, every attempt to silence and marginalize you, every effort to push you into isolation, you stood your ground. This was never just about chance or simple resilience on your part. The unwavering strength you have shown is proof of a greater protection surrounding you, a shield invisible to your enemies, yet absolutely unbreakable. Each attack that came your way was not just endured but documented, counted, and woven into a tapestry of evidence that now condemns those who tried to bring you down. Even in your loneliest moments, when it seemed their strikes were landing, they were in fact only sealing their own fate. What appeared to be victories for your enemies were, in reality, links in the very chain that would ensure their exposure and downfall. You were never abandoned. The protection that guided and shielded you has been working all along, quietly ensuring that truth would win out in the end. So prepare yourself for this new chapter. The tide has finally turned. The truth, once suppressed, is now unstoppable, and the official recognition you have earned is about to transform not only your life, but the landscape for everyone who has watched, waited, and believed in the power of justice. This protection does not mean you have been spared from pain, struggle, or hardship. Far from it. The path of true purpose, especially when it's divinely guided, is rarely a smooth or gentle road. Yet, what this protection guarantees is that every single obstacle set in your way, every trap carefully laid, and every weapon turned against you has ultimately worked to strengthen you, not diminish you. What your adversaries meant to break you has instead refined your spirit, sharpened your wisdom, and clarified your mission. Their relentless attacks have not succeeded in weakening you. They have served as the crucible through which your resilience and authenticity have been tested and proven. Now your focus should not be fixed on their downfall. Their consequences, every bit of justice owed to them, were set into motion the very moment they chose to act out of corruption and self-interest. The universe has never needed your help to deliver the justice that is due. Cosmic balance operates on a timetable all its own, precise and unfailing. Your attention belongs to the path ahead, the journey and the calling that was always yours to fulfill. The mission you carry was what they so desperately tried to block, never realizing the true magnitude of what they opposed. They saw only an individual, a lone voice, or a temporary inconvenience threatening their plans. They failed to grasp that you were, in fact, part of something far larger, a movement, a current in the river of history that cannot be dammed, diverted, or diminished by any human force. Their battle was always lost from the start, not just because of their ignorance, but because they misjudged the scale and significance of what they faced. The hour of reckoning, long prophesied, long awaited, and sometimes doubted in your darkest nights, has finally arrived. The cosmic clock moves with unhurried, unstoppable precision, never rushed by your longing nor delayed by their resistance. And now, the rhythm of universal justice grows louder, pulsing with a thunder that cannot be ignored. Those who abused their power, who traded sacred responsibility for personal gain, who aimed their malice at you thinking themselves untouchable, now find themselves in the season of harvest. Every deceit, every suppressed truth, every act of injustice is written with flawless accuracy in the unchangeable ledger of cosmic accountability. And now the account comes due. Their arrogance led them to believe they stood above consequence. Their positions, connections, and wealth gave them the false sense of immunity. Yet now, as the true wave of justice approaches, all those illusions crumble to dust. This force recognizes neither privilege, status, nor exemption. It sweeps aside every attempt at deception, burying none of the truth. What they fought so hard to conceal now emerges with earth-shaking clarity. Evidence thought to be destroyed was preserved. Witnesses once silenced have reclaimed their voices. Facts they tried to blur are now illuminated in a brightness no one can ignore. This long overdue reckoning brings not just justice, but restoration. What was unjustly taken will be returned. What was blocked will be opened. What was broken will be healed. The road that was once clouded by their manipulation is now clear before you, shining with purpose and opportunity. The mission that called forth such desperate opposition now stands ready to move forward, no longer hindered or delayed. You can expect the message, the shift, the restoration, not as distant possibilities, but as certainties already set in motion by forces well beyond the reach of any who tried to control or corrupt them. The divine clockwork of justice ticks forward with flawless precision, and now its hands point directly to the moment of your vindication and their accountability. Hold firm to this truth. Stand steady in the knowledge that the storm now breaking over your adversaries will cleanse the air around you, sweeping away the last remnants of their campaign. And when the storm is past, and it will pass, you will step boldly into the life, the purpose, and the mission that were always meant for you. No longer will you be held back by those who feared your light. The time is now. The reckoning has come, and divine justice is finally, unmistakably moving in your favor. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm, to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for powerful revelations about the signs that reveal you are the chosen one. We've enjoyed following this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your destiny with courage. See you next time. Blessings to all the beautiful souls from the Enlighten wisdom.